Well, it's Thursday, everybody. I hope you're here. I hope you're enjoying yourself this week. Staying safe, keeping your hands clean, all the normal stuff. Has anybody been outside? I feel like it's been months since I've been outside my house. It's not actually true. I actually went for a walk earlier today, took the dog out. I will tell you that my dog is getting more walks and more attention than she's ever had in her whole life. Because we're all home all the time, but we're making our way through it, right? We're still going to school, we're still at work, we're still building cool things. And I actually wanted to talk to you about a couple of the cool things that I'm building. I know yesterday I talked to all of you about how I was building a thing for my door. I was using an electromagnet, and we were building some cool things to try and keep a door from closing. And then when we turn the electromagnet off, of course, it lets the door close. Tiny Fish, thank you for joining. Hi, how are you? Thank you for being here today. So I wanted to talk to you before we get into our blueprint stuff for today. I wanted to talk to you about another cool idea that your parents are going to hate me for if you're living with your parents, and if you're not, you just like cool ideas. Hopefully, this will be something fun for you to give a try. So I'm going to jump over to my browser. And maybe you guys have heard of the app called TikTok before. This is something that me and my family really enjoy. There's a lot of fun content on there. And we even make some videos sometimes. And one of the ideas we had was to do something like this. Now, there's just some kids having fun in their house. They obviously set up a whole Rube Goldberg machine all the way through their house. That ping pong ball made it all the way through, and then they flew it into the sky with a drone. And it got me to thinking that we could take this a step further, and I think me and my team here at Alexa are going to try and build something pretty cool. We'll have to spend a little time building it out and making sure it all works, so it's not going to happen tomorrow, but we're going to do this soon. We're each going to build something like that in each of our houses. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use things like this, which if you guys haven't seen one of these, this is the Lego Mindstorms EV3 control unit. This is sold by Lego. It's a computer that allows you to build and control a bunch of cool things with Legos, but using a computer. So it has actuators, it has a bunch of stuff that we can do in here to create like claws and to move pieces and to do all sorts of things. So the idea was, let's use one of these to maybe kick it off, because Alexa can talk to one of these. And there's a lot of really good tutorials on how to use your Lego Mindstorm EV3 with Alexa, so that you can talk to your device and it will make your Lego device do the thing that you want it to do. So if you have one of these at home, I highly recommend go search Alexa and Mindstorms, and you'll find all sorts of cool stuff that you can do with them. But that's a side project that's a lot more work than we have time for today. But I'm going to kick off a Rube Goldberg machine in my house using one of those, using my voice to talk to my device. And then what's going to happen is, once it gets to the end of my track, instead of a drone flying it into the sky, what we're going to do instead is have it trigger something that kicks off the next piece of it at someone else's house using the power of the internet. So it'll land on something like this, maybe an echo button. And this echo button will call a skill, which will talk to a device at someone else's house, and that will continue the process. And so we'll have a Rube Goldberg machine that jumps from building to building to building around the country, around the world, really, hopefully. So we're working on an idea where we might be able to create a video just like that. Okay, that's enough about Rube Goldberg. I'll get rid of the TikTok stuff, and we can come over to what I really want to talk about today, which is more cool blueprints that we can focus on. So for those of you that haven't been here every day this week or haven't had a chance to see all the videos, they are available. If you're on twitch.tv, you can look at the top, and there's a link above my page that says videos. And if you click on that, you can see the previous videos from this week if you'd like to watch those. But we covered, on the first day, we covered routines, which allowed you to do things in the Alexa app to change smart home stuff, to get Alexa to say things that you'd like, and to have some fun just like making minor changes to how Alexa does things. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we've spent our time on blueprints. So the first day, we worked on things related to chores, which I know none of us love doing, but sometimes there's ways to make them fun. And so we use this chore chart skill this chore chart blueprint, as well as this whose turn one, to build some things for Alexa that allowed us to decide whose turn it was to do specific chores. And the chore chart one allows us to like schedule things. So we could say, Reggie wants to be able to make his bed every morning at 8 a.m. And so it reminds everybody at 8 a.m. that, hey, Reggie, it's time to make your bed. So those are cool things that you can build, and of course you don't have to use them just for those purposes. If you have something else like, "Hey Jeff, it's time to go play Fortnite." Fine, let's build that as a chore. That's a thing I have to do today. So you don't have to use it just for chores. You can use it however you'd like to construct it. The other thing that we talked about yesterday, if we scroll down here to the bottom, were these storyteller skills. And these are all different starter kits for you to build stories. But we built an adventure story yesterday about a person that went and found a golden thing and had to run out of a cave before a giant moon eventually covered the entrance to the cave. And so we wrote that story. We added sound effects. We made it like Mad Libs, so we got to decide what some of the pieces were before the story ever started. But it was pretty fun, and we came up with a good adventure story when we were all done. So that's what we did yesterday. What I'd like to focus on today, though, and I have to remember where this is. I think it's down here further. No. I want to make sure I have these on the screen before we start talking about that. Oh, yeah. Learning and knowledge. So this is one of those things that has really stood out to me. I have two kids here in my house. My daughter is 16 and my son is 11, almost 12. And both of them have all sorts of schoolwork, and they're having to go to school in a way that they've not traditionally done it in the past. Normally you go to school in the morning, you spend all day jumping between teacher to teacher, and you learn from them as you sit and listen in class. But with everybody staying home, it's been a little different. They have to study on their own. They have to come up with ways to learn some of their content on their own because they don't have a teacher there every single day to give them a lecture and to share with them the knowledge that they need. So I was talking to them about blueprints, and I thought this might be a good thing to share with all of you today. So there's a couple of cool things we can do in here. I'm going to show you two of them. I'm going to show you the quiz one, and I'm going to show you the flashcards one. And I think these are both pretty fun, but you can try out any of these as you go through this to be able to build your own blueprint skills for you and your friends. So we'll start with flashcards, and you know what flashcards are. Everybody's used these at school before. You, on one side, you have a question or some bit of information, and then on the back side, you have what the answer to that might be. And so you can see here that if we talk about this, it talks about how we're going to pick the name of our skill, but we're going to fill in terms, definitions, and hints, and Alexa will be able to run the quiz for us. And there's two modes even. There's a review mode, which will read us the information. It'll tell us what we need to know, and then we can switch later to test mode, and this is where it quizzes us and tells us if we got them right or wrong. So let's look into building some flashcards for ourselves. So the first thing we'll notice is when we open this, it already has some things in here for us. It has built a flashcard skill for us to worry about the capitals of the United States. So in this case, you can see that we've called our topic capitals, and then in here, for each card, we define some information. So we have a term. This is what we would tell you. We'd say Alabama, and you'd have to tell us what the capital of that place is. In this case, it's Montgomery. You also have the ability to add hints. So you could say this is the second largest city in Alabama, it's on the river, it's in the Gulf Coastal Plain. If you don't know the capital is Montgomery, I don't know that that information is also going to help you. But what I thought we'd do is change this to be a math flashcard skill. So you can see that we have Alabama and Alaska and Arizona and Arkansas. And those are the four cards that we have in here right now. I'm going to delete those because I think it's always more fun to build your own stuff. And so one of the things that I'm going to do here is we're going to do a multiplication flashcard skill, because this is important for everybody that's going to school and for adults to make sure that they know their multiplication tables. So what we can do is build out some of these cards. I'm not going to do the easy ones. I'm not going to do 1 times 4 and 1 times 7. We're going to start in the 4s. And so I'm going to say 4 times 4. And in here, I'm going to say 16. Now, you'll notice that I shouldn't have done it that way. I should do 4 times 4. Alexa reads words, and so we want to make sure that we're always using words appropriately.
My own words can be yours free from Audible.
Alexa,
as a Prime member.
Stop. So 4 times 4 is 16. And for a hint, we could just say, what is 4? What if you added up 4 4s. Because that's really how multiplication works, right? It's just fast addition. So we choose add card. We'll do another one. We'll just do our 4s. 4 times 5. This one is 20. What is the sum of 5 4s? And we'll do one more here. 4 times 6. And this is 24. And we'll say, what is the sum of 6 4s? Okay, so we've got the idea here. We can come in and add some more, but now let's look at the experience. So we know that we've got 3 flashcards for testing our multiplication, but we could create more if we'd like. Now we have our experience. So this is where Alexa's going to greet us. And instead of that one, we're going to say, it's time to work on our multiplication tables again. Let's do this. Whoa. And then, again, we choose our sound effects that we'd like. Should we do like a, let's do like a, we talked about these noises yesterday. Battle yells, men running. Haha, that's fun. Like we're charging into battle. We're going to take on our multiplication tables. Great job studying hard. You're going to ace this test. You've been crushing it. You're a multiplication master. You're so close to mastering this. I'm proud of you. Okay, and we can, of course, add messages too. If we wanted to create a longer list or whatever, it'll randomly pick one of these each time, but we can just keep it to the 3 for now. Then, how many times in review mode will it repeat a specific card? So, you know what, Tiny Fish, that's a good question. Will Alexa read symbols? Like if you type plus, will Alexa read out plus? I don't think she would read out plus. I think she would instead, she would probably say and, because she's trying to figure out what the best word is for it. So let's do this. This is our welcome message. Let's try a few things. We'll put a plus sign in here, and then we'll put a star sign in here, and we'll put a minus sign in here, and we'll put a division sign in here, right? So I have addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. And we'll see what she says when we get there. I don't actually know, but I don't think it'll say plus. But we'll find out. I would guess she would say and, because plus sign also means and a lot of times. If you want her to say plus, I always recommend writing out all of the words. You noticed in my cards that I always wrote like 24 as a word instead of the number 24. She can read numbers. She's very good at that. But I find that if you very specifically want her to say something, you're always better off writing out the words yourself. Okay, for card options, this is the number of times when we're reviewing the things, how many times she will go through each card. I think 3 seems appropriate. And then for the exit, when we say goodbye, she'll say, don't forget to study every day until the test. And then I can choose a background image. We'll choose this green one. It looks like that's everything we've got. So let's give this a try. I'm going to hit next. Special characters are not allowed. Okay, so that's another reason we may not be able to do that, is they won't even let us use those special characters. So again, my recommendation to you, Tiny Fish, is to always make sure that you spell out all the words every time you can. Multiplication master. That'll be the name of our skill. So we're going to create the skill, and as we've done the last few days, this takes us a little while. It takes about a minute for us to produce everything that we need to make our skill work. Because what it needs to do is tell the entire Alexa system what the name of your skill is, how to communicate with it, how to understand all of the different words that are said and how those things work together, so that when you talk to your device and you say open multiplication master, or whatever you called yours, it knows what to do and where to go and what code to run so that all those things can happen. So it doesn't take super long. Again, like I said, it's about a minute. But once it's done, we'll be able to talk to our skill and we'll see how we do with our flashcards. Hopefully we're almost there. So it looks like I can say review mode or test mode, and then I can say Alexa next if I just want to move to a next card. You can also say what's my score to see what your current score is. So this would be a lot more fun if I had all the multiplication problems in there. This seems like something that would be pretty easy for any of you to make. You could build your own multiplication skill that has all the multiplication tables, maybe up to 12. And then if you publish that, then any kid could use this, right? And you could tell your friends, like, hey, if you're working on your multiplication tables, try my Alexa skill. That would be a really cool thing for you to create and publish. You could also do it for addition and subtraction and everything else. Okay, so my skill's been created. Now I can open it. So let's give it a run and see how this works. Alexa, open Multiplication Master.
Welcome to Multiplication Master. It's time to work on our multiplication tables.
We'll try
again.
the review mode first.
Let's do this. Which mode would you like? Review or test?
Review.
Sure thing. Here's how it works. I'll say questions about capitals with their matching answers several times. I'll pause in between, giving you a chance to answer in your head or say it out loud. Let's go. First, 4 times 6, 24. Again, 4 times 6, 24. Again, 4 times 6, 24. All right. Next, 4 times 4, 16.
Alexa,
Again.
test.
Sure thing. Here's how it works. I'll ask you questions about capitals. Then you tell me the answers. You can say, I don't know. All right, let's begin. 4 times 6.
24.
Yes. That's it. Next, 4 times 4.
Hint.
Your hint is, what if you added up 4 fours? Try again. 4 times 4.
16.
Yes. That's it. Next, 4 times 5.
20.
Yes. That's it. Nice. You've reached the end, and with a score of 3 out of 3. Good work. Would you like to review these cards, or start the test again?
Stop.
Don't forget to study every day until the test.
All right, so there was a couple of interesting things there, and I don't know if you saw me change them as we were going, but she said, I'm going to ask you about all the capitals. And I couldn't figure out why she was saying that, and I forgot that we did change our topic name. So by changing our topic name, I changed that to multiplication now. Now she's going to ask me about multiplication, and then she'll get into my questions. But the questions worked really well. She would say, what is 4 times 4? What is, and 16, what is 5 times 5? She was able to do those pretty easily. So she was also able to recognize what I was saying and match that against my values, which is also super cool because we want to make sure that we're actually getting the right answers and that Alexa can give us a good score. And so I got 3 out of 3 on that because we have 3 questions and I got them all right. But if you added all the multiplication tables in here and you weren't sure about a couple of them, for example, if I have 12 times 11, does anybody know that? Anybody that might be in the chat, do you know what 12 times 11 is off the top of your head? That's one of the harder ones. I'll see if anybody gives an answer. Maybe Tiny Fish knows. 121. That is a good guess. That's actually 11 times 11. The 12 times 11 is 132, and I can show you guys a cool method for solving this that you may not have realized before. So I'll do it right here in this text box just so we can see it. But if you have 11 times anything, any 2-digit number, so if we do like 34, the answer to that one, you take the first number, 3, then you leave a space, and then you use the last number, which is 4. And in the middle, you add them together. So 34 times 11 is 374. And that's what I did with 12 times 11, right? 12 times 11 equals 132. Because you just take the original number that isn't 11 and you put it on the outside and then you add the numbers together and you put them on the inside. Kind of a cool way to Remember your 11s anyway. So let me change this back to multiplication. Multiplication. And we'll save our skill. And while that's happening, we could actually go create another one. We have a couple minutes left, and we'll go look at one of the other things that we can do for learning and knowledge, and that is creating a quiz. Now, though that may have felt a little bit like a quiz because we have flashcards and it's asking us questions and whatever, but I think you'll find as we go into learning and knowledge here, we can have these open-ended questions. And in this case, it's more multiple choice, right? So let's take a look at this one and see how this works. So in this one, it's going to ask us individual questions, and then we can have follow-up facts. So this works very similarly to the flashcards, but you can see it's a little bit different. So the Golden Gate Bridge is located in what U.S. state? California is the right answer. But you can see that we could give it multiple choices. So maybe instead of that, we'll change this. Is it Ohio, New York, Washington, or California? And then follow-up fact, the Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge, and it tells us all about the thing in San Francisco. Then we have the same thing here. What U.S. state boasts the following rivers? And we have a bunch of rivers named, and we want to know what state contains those rivers. And then which one does not border the Great Lakes? It's the landlocked one, Iowa. And then which state has the longest coastline? Alaska. Cool. So again, we can create these custom questions, but the secret to this is that all we really need to do is match the word that someone said to the answer that we have here. The more complex your answers, the harder this is going to be for people. So you'll often want to keep your answers to 1 or 2 words, because if you give them a long answer and they don't say those words in the right order, it's possible that Alexa might not know that they got it right, even though they did. So if I was to say, what is the name of the famous orange bridge in San Francisco? The answer to that would be Golden Gate Bridge. The trick with that is that you really want to make sure people are going to say Golden Gate Bridge. They might say Golden Gate, which would be potentially an incorrect answer because it doesn't match the answer you gave, which is Golden Gate Bridge. So we really have to be very careful about how our answers work because we don't want them to be too hard and we don't want there to be too much variety in the kinds of answers that people will give. So let's go to our experience in this, and we'll say, welcome to your quiz. The bells are all good. We've seen a lot of this stuff before, so that's really cool. And then we can have different responses for getting questions right. That's awesome. So it'll pick randomly one of these and give us a happy answer. And then we also have sad answers for when you got one wrong. So, very close. And then we have a winner response when they finish the quiz. So that's pretty cool with sound effect. And then they say one of these things. Congratulations, you're awesome. So let me finish these choices, and we'll give our skill a name. We'll call it United States Quiz. So we'll create this skill. And again, like I said before, this takes about a minute or so. So in the meantime, I'd be curious, for those of you that have been watching this week and have had the time to play around with some blueprints, maybe if you explored a little bit, what are the things that you have built this week? Have you built an adventure story, or have you built something to take care of some chores at your house? I'd love to hear about what you're building and what you're working on, and maybe what you've worked on with your friends or your family. I'm always curious to hear what people are building with their own time. It's always fun to hear about. So if you drop something in the chat, I'd be happy to read it. I really appreciate Tiny Fish communicating with me. It's nice to know there's someone else on the other line. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, I'd love to hear them. In the meantime, we're waiting to create my skill. I don't yet know what we're going to cover tomorrow, but I was thinking we might play with some fun smart home stuff or something like that, where we'll get some lights set up. I have some other things that we can do with these little Arduino boards, so we might do something like that tomorrow. But I think we've covered a good amount of the blueprints, and so I'd love to kick you guys in the right direction as we continue moving. Maybe we'll even talk about building a real live, like, complex Alexa skill, and I can show you how that works and what you can do. So, okay, our skill is ready. Let's say, Alexa, open United States Quiz.
Welcome to the United States quiz game. You can ask me about any of the 50 states and their capitals.
Alexa,
or you can
stop.
ask me to start.
So this isn't actually good.
Playing the United States quiz game. Let's play again soon. Do you want to rate United States quiz?
No. I was actually worried about that. So we're going to edit our skill. And the reason for that is because a long time ago, I built a United States quiz game well before these blueprints were even available. And so I need to... Oh, maybe I can't change the name of it now. Let's see how else I might be able to do this. I have some skills. And what I need to do is, because I have multiple skills called United States Quiz, I need to be able to turn the other one off. So I'm jumping into my Alexa app right now, and I'm going to Skills and Games, and I'm going to see if I can find that United States Quiz game that I have and see if I can disable it. I have a bunch of skills enabled, so this will take me just a minute to see if I can find it. Not having a lot of luck so far. It's in here somewhere. Oh my goodness. Well, without being able to turn that off, I won't be able to try this skill because I've already given it a name. Once you give it that invocation name, the name that people say to use your skill, you can't change that. Let's see if I can find it this way. United States Quiz. No. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, unfortunately. I made a mistake in choosing my name. So that is unfortunate. But I think we have a pretty good idea for how this will work, right? We can go in and we can create questions. And again, these are fun things to share if you're on a soccer team. I wish you could say open the newer one. No, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It has to hear the name of the skill. And I have another skill with the same name, which is unfortunate. We could try and delete this really quick and create another one. But I knew the moment I typed in United States Quiz that sounded too familiar. But you guys get the idea, right? Tiny Fish, I'm sure you've been following along. It seems like you're very engaged today. But the idea that you could go in and build a quiz game and you can publish it means that you could share this with your friends. So you could build a quiz about all the teachers at your school or maybe about all the players on your soccer team. It would be fun things like, what is everybody's number, right? Even though you're on a soccer team and you all play together, it's very common for you not to remember what someone's number is because you don't really put those things together in your head sometimes. But it's these kinds of fun things that you can take and build to share with your friends and family or your teammates or your classmates or your teachers or even your parents or if you aren't a kid, then you could share this with your coworkers, right? There's a lot of fun ways to make these kinds of things really kind of grow and become popular. So we are at time for today, unfortunately. But I hope you guys got a good lesson in building some cool things that will help you learn. You could build these for school. I know my kids will build the flashcard ones when they want to study something very carefully at school. It's a nice, easy way to build some flashcards without having to sit down and write them all down on cards. And it's a much more fun way to do it, right? You can talk to Alexa and have all that stuff happen. So thank you guys all for tuning in this week. It's been so much fun. Our last one will be tomorrow, and then maybe we'll come up with some more content in the very near future. Alexa, stop. So thank you guys all for coming today. We will see you again very soon.